Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Groom Show. For the Groom Show today, I got a very awesome guest, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him. He's a professional wrestler. He's traveled all over the world. He does numerous matches over in Japan, and of course, he wrestles here in the States. Titus Alexander, and really looking forward to talking to him about his wrestling life and how he got started in it. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Groom Show. My interview Titus be coming up very soon. This is my groom, and as always, my groomings. Welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned, everybody. All right, buddy. Welcome to Grue. Thank you so much for being my guest on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Of course, always, always, always.
So I guess like the first question I want to start out asking you, basically, simple question is what drew you to this amazing sport of pro wrestling, and who were some of the guys that you love to watch?
Well, what drew me to it was my dad, really.
Oh, okay.
Because he's done it for shit before I was born. And yeah, so he's my trainer. Everything like he was going back from when I was a kid. Like growing up in it. He would have wrestlers in our garage wrestling on the wrestling mats and showing them, teaching them all the ways and stuff. And then, so I just grew up around it. And then I tried it. I would, well, I tried it with my sister when I was like 6, and we had the little stuff. We were rolling around. We had a match or whatever like that, but it was nothing like serious.
Yeah.
Then I started playing football, like a couple years later, and that was my life. It was strictly football. I would watch wrestling here and there with my dad, but I kind of just fell out of wrestling because I was just like, it wasn't really popular with the kids growing up with the kids that I was friends with. And even in the school, like I didn't really see any of the, people talking about it or anything like that. And so, middle school, it was just strictly all football and rugby and, stuff like that. It was still around, like my dad's students would come over and they would watch WrestleMania or they'd train and stuff like that too. But dad was always gone on the weekends when we weren't playing football, or he would, come late to the games, but he was always there, or come late because he was coaching or stuff like that. And then through high school, I kind of found it again because my dad was doing it a lot more frequently and stuff like that. And I started going to shows. And then I got hurt playing football. Yeah, my junior, senior year, I tore my ACL twice. So, yeah, I know. It's tragic. But, I mean, hey, everything happens for a reason. So I was just like, hey, Dad, sister's training, so why don't I just give it a shot? And I was just kind of being the bump bitch for a little bit, and she was doing all the moves on me, and then he was like, well, why don't you try training again? I was like, okay. And then it kind of just took off from there. We were there for every weekend, every weekend that he could, because he was still coaching at the time and working, and I was still working, and she was working. So any chance that we got, we would go in and try to train.
Wow. Okay. And do you still like watch sports yet? Like you still watch football or like any sports yet?
Yeah, it's kind of hard the last couple of years just because I've been traveling a lot, and in the last like 2 years, football season, I've been in Japan and stuff like that, so it's been rough.
Yeah.
Like, I always get excited for the games and preseason hits, and I'm like, yes, let's go. And then I go away, and I'm like, it's 2 a.m. and the Broncos are playing. I'm like, fuck, I can't even watch it. I'm tired. Like it's rough, but yeah, I try to keep up with as much as I can, and but it is rough. I try to, and it's been around, but yeah, it's rough. I try to, but I really watch like UFC now just because it's like, because I can pick and choose when I want to watch that and stuff. But yeah, football is the one that I really want to watch like this year again.
Okay. And when you knew you wanted to do wrestling, and that, how long did it take your body to get used to taking like the wrestling bumps and the rope burns and
Right, yeah.
all that fun stuff?
So I thought I was gonna get really immaculated, or like not immaculate. I thought I was gonna pick it up really easy, and my body was like, I played quarterback for 11 years. I got hit harder than this, and I'm like, Dad, don't worry. And then I remember the first day of training, I was like, oh, yay, this is what everyone's talking about, and so it was rough. But I think being an athlete growing up, and taking all those hits and stuff like that, it kind of did help me in a way. Like, it wasn't like I was, 5 months in still getting the, rope burns on my back and stuff. So I was used to it. I'm used to playing through pain and stuff like that. So it's kind of just like that. It didn't take too long, but it definitely was an eye opener with that first day of bumping.
Oh yeah, like look, a lot of people who just watch wrestling, they see it on TV. They're like, oh, this seems like it's easy. Like I could get in the ring and do that. But then
Yeah.
once they do it, take their first bump or get their first rope burn, and then they're like, oh shit, this is what it really is.
Yeah, it's rough. We had one of the building owners watch us break down the ring, and he was like, "Oh, I thought it was just like trampolines in the ring." I was like, "Nope, it's steel and it's wood, and there's like a little thin mat, and that's about it." But I was like, it's not much."
Oh yeah, there's not much give, like
Oh,
especially for like outside of the WWE. I
right.
think like the WWE ring probably has a little more cushion, a little more
I would
give,
assume so. Yeah.
but like outside of WWE, all these other wrestling promotions like that, I their rings are a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
and and how did you know like the look that you wanted for wrestling, like the wrestling name, the look and everything?
Well, the wrestling name is just my name. It's
Well,
just,
yeah.
yeah, my real name is Titus, and my middle name is Alexander. And I always like thought that was a really strong just name. And growing up, the moniker I had, my dad gave me is the future franchise.
All
And this is
right.
where he was like, "You're gonna do wrestling your entire life," and da 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 da. And then it didn't happen that way because I went to football and I changed nicknames, changed and whatever. But um, and then when I started wrestling again, he just says like, "Hey, why don't you just take it again?" He's just like, "Might as well like, so way we don't have to think. It's easy. We can just focus on this and get your mind right and stuff." And the look, it was just the look is tough, like. I'm still trying to find what I like
Yeah.
wearing and what I like to, I always go back to the Invincible gear, was just my first like gear that I was inspiration gear, I would say. And I was like, that's what I want to look. And then now fast forward a couple more years, I'm like, I kind of like the way that I look in tights and the way that this looks in here. I'm like, it changes every time, and you see different things. You're like, oh, well, let me go try that out, and then you like it on yourself, and then there's sometimes you're like,
Mm.
ill, like I'm never doing that again, So it's kind of just a pick and play kind of thing, and trial and error a lot of with the gear and stuff like that.
E- Even with like the theme song too, because you probably have
Yeah.
like 1,000 songs that you want to use, like you're playing it in your head, like, oh my
Yes.
God, I think I'm gonna be awesome with this song, and then
Oh yeah. What I do is how I found the Lord of Play Fucking Jordy song is that I always liked that song, and I used to always play
Mhm.
football when it came out, and to get myself really hyped up, we played in the locker rooms and stuff like that when we could and stuff, and and then I was in the gym one day, and I was like, damn man, I like really like this song still, and it fucking get me hyped up, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just try it. Like I just turned heel, and I was like, I want a newer song and just a different change and different outlook, and so I tried it and people loved it. People were like, dude, you look so badass coming out to it and stuff like that. And then, so I really liked that. And I think it was the final marker of like, what needed to be at that time for,
Mhm.
myself, Titus Alexander.
And do you think it's more fun to be the heel than the face? Like heels look like they have more fun like playing with the fans and stuff.
Right. I think they're fun both, like everyone loves to be cheered and loves to be name chanted, but you also love telling somebody to go fuck off. Like they're both fun,
Exactly.
like they're both. I don't know if we can curse, but
Oh
they're
yeah, yeah,
both
yeah,
okay,
definitely.
awesome. They both have their pros. They both have their cons. But yeah, I personally like doing it because my dad was such a good heel, and
Nice.
so watching him in the years and stuff like that, telling the little kids to fuck off. I was like, Dad's the same age as me. Is that towards me as well? And he's just no, 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 no. But but yeah, so it's always fun. And my sister's a great heel as well, so it's awesome.
That's so awesome that you have like this big wrestling fan
Yep.
family, like you,
Yeah.
it's like the hearts and the roads and stuff.
Yeah. It's awesome. We got the little one coming up in it too. He's 16, 17. I don't know. He'll always be 12, 13 to me. I look at him, I'm like, bro, get out of here. Go back to middle school. Like, get out of here, bro. But yeah, I think he's 16, 17 now, and he's doing his thing, traveling around, the local scene and stuff. He's tearing it up too. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Just to see like someone younger like doing that. That's part of you, like part of
Yeah.
your family. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you remember with your first match was when you started to wrestle?
So the very first one, I was like 6. I don't know the exact date, but it was way long ago. But I don't really count it. A lot of people are like, oh, you should. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because I fell off. I don't like. I'm not gonna say I was. Whenever I turned 26, I've been doing this for 20 years. No, it's not that. But my first ever match back, taking this for real, was I want to say Father's Day in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was running a company. Well, he ran a company, and he passed it off and stuff like that. And it was their last show in that venue, and that's where my first match when I was 6 years old happened there and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of history in that building, and I just showed up to train. Me and my dad were training at the time, and they got the news that it was going to be their last show there that day, literally like 2 hours before the show, and. My dad asked his student that owns the company, was like, hey, can you let the kids work? Like, I really would like that to happen. And especially it was on Father's Day. And then we called up my sister and she came, and then, yeah, we wrestled, and I was actually in a mask. And, yeah, it was fun. And I think it's easier that way too for me. I'm like, okay, Father's Day, cool. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Oh, it's easy because my memory is so bad. So I know if it's Father's Day, I count that as my anniversary.
All right. Okay. And like you've been wrestling like some of the greats like ever since you
Yeah.
started, like you've been in here with a lot of good people, and you did a PWG show with Mox.
Yeah, it
Like
was
that must
it
is
was it was
Mox as
chill.
crazy as they say he is when he wrestles?
It was definitely different. I'll say that. It was definitely very surprising on how his brain works, but I learned so much just from the little time that we got in the ring. Just his presence alone, like it's something that inspires me to get that way, like someone at that level coming down, doing an indie and stuff like that is crazy. And you see the reactions from people like throwing drinks in the air because they're so surprised, and going crazy because it's crazy. That's Jon Moxley. It's like growing up we watched him at WWE and then now AEW, and like
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, he's interesting. He's an interesting person. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's very interesting.
Yeah.
And a couple of matches I saw, they were like amazing. Like you worked speedball,
Yeah.
and you also worked Marcus, who's blowing up the scene now, Marcus
Oh,
Mathers, and
yeah.
what was your experience with those bouts, the Mike, Bailey, and Marcus?
Marcus is always great because it was at the time when we worked. It was we've always watched each other and kept up with each other, and we're good friends and stuff like that. And it got to be where I was like, damn, like I really want to work Marcus. Like I haven't worked him yet, and like I think he's one of the best on the indie scene. And I was like, fuck, I really want this match. And it was I want to say it was either like a couple days before I left or right when I got back. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was right before I left for like one of my tours. And I was like, I need to get this match done. Like I have to have it done. Like with his stuff going on right now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with him and get there with him, and because he's really taken off, and I really want to get this match in before I can't. So I said yes, and we got it done. And working with him was incredible, because it's two young great minds that also are friends that want to show out and to be the best. And and when it gets like that, it gets I wouldn't say toxic, but it gets very competitive.
Oh, of
And
course,
because I'm like,
of
I
course.
want to be the best, and I want to, I want to work together. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And sometimes it's just like, okay, well, let's come together and do this. Like, and it's great. because, we're, talking before an hour, and then it comes just to this. But working with Speedball was also very, very great. I learned so much working with Speedball on match structure, and how to present myself in the ring, outside of the ring. And because he's one of the greats as well. And what
he has the fastest kicks I ever saw.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they suck. They hurt. Yeah, they're very hard. I would say, like
I'm sure
you got to take a couple of days off working someone like Speedball, but it's also great. You do learn so much in the ring. But yeah, and not just because he's going to kick you hard, but he's also going to push you to your limits. He's going to make you test yourself in the ring and test your body, test your mind. And it was one of my first times working with him at West Coast, and he came up and we started talking. And I was like, okay, this is. It just like backtracked to my mind to like getting ready for a football game where I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna get hit, and I know this is gonna be an experience, and it's gonna be rough, but it's good for me. And like it was great. I came out great, better than I was before going in, and that's all I can ask.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And you also been to the big two wrestling promotions. Like you did something for WWE for 205 Live, and also like the Ring of Honor and AEW. And how was that experience like working for the big ones, like for WWE and AEW and Ring of Honor?
It's great because one, they were so close to my house. It was so awesome that I could go home after and talk to my friends about it and stuff like that. Because the one in SAC I did, I think it was AEW Dark. I worked with Juice Robinson, and it was in front of my hometown. There's a bunch of people there and stuff like that. So that was always cool. And working with those guys at such a high caliber show, it's way different than an indie where you got to worry about TV time and stuff like that, and worry about getting cut. So you really want to. It really tests you mentally, and it was nervous because sometimes, I do get a little camera shy. So I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people here, and when I did that WWE thing for 205 Live, there was, I was only, I want to say 8 months in, I want to say.
Oh,
so
really?
I was really nervous and I actually, because it was like a double taping or something like that. And, was doing the extra work, and I told my dad, I was like, oh, they want us to stay and stuff like that, kind of keeping it a secret. And then when we walked out, I knew where he was, so I looked up, and he was like, oh, that's it, and so he's, very excited. So I got to see that calmed me down a little bit, and got in the ring and did the stuff, and those experiences they're always great.
Oh yeah. And like a lot of people say, like, but when you're at like AEW or Ring of Honor, the locker room there is actually pretty welcoming.
Yeah, it's great. So, some of my like my best friends there. Some of my closest friends are there, and so it's always great to see them because they're always gone, and sometimes I don't get to see them for a year or months on end, and so it's always great to go there and just say what's up, and even if it's like in passing, just what's up, dude, how you doing? It's not a screen where I don't have to say, hey man, how you doing? We're in person, and that's always great to see somebody in person that you haven't seen in a while, and then get them to see what we do. In the ring and stuff like that, getting them watch them live and stuff like that again. It's always great.
And like there's another wrestling promotion that's been blowing up and they're hot, and you did some stuff with them, is GCW. Like how do you feel about like how they're like well known? I mean, the WWE people have their wrestlers going there now. AEW is on their shows. Like you have the big two wrestling places working at GCW. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. Like really big companies going back to how it was before. That they scout on the indies, and their guys there, and and it's just a good look. We get to work people that we never knew that we could, like who knows if you're going to get there, who knows if you're not, like it's always the question, so might as well just do it now. And it's always great, having those guys come down and really pass on like their knowledge to us and stuff like that, like just 2 days ago, I got to talk with one of my good friends, Carl, because he just came back at West Coast Pro. And man, we talked 3 different times about just random stuff, and it's always just great. And he was just telling me his time and what they expect, and just passing down like really good knowledge to me. And that's always great for me, like you should always be a sponge, just absorb everything, and just take in all the knowledge that you can.
I know you're absolutely right. Like they say that, like if you're in locker room and there's guys that've been there for a while, legends or anyone that's been there for a while, like you should pick their brain and ask them questions and just be a sponge. Like I always heard that.
Yeah, it's always great to do that.
Yeah. And how was your time? Like, cause you've been back and forth to Japan now, and how's your time when you go there to work, and like the first time you ever went there, like was it like really exciting, like just being there and seeing everything for the first time?
Yeah, it's always so I always tell everybody that like I'm a nervous flyer, so when I took off, I was like, oh my gosh, we got 10 hours on this flight, and I couldn't sleep because I was nervous too. I was just really excited, like Japan will always be something special, and I hear this all the time. It's always going to be special to everybody, but it was a place that my dad never got to go wrestle in, and he always really wanted to, but he was taking care of us and stuff like that, so he couldn't just leave 3 months on end, and so it was always like when I told him that I was going, it was real emotional and stuff like that. So, I got excited, and it was like, oh man, all this energy worked up. And when they were like, okay, we're going to start our descent, I was like really nervous just because flying and stuff. But once we, touched down and stuff like that, and it was safe, I just couldn't stop smiling. Like I know I looked probably really crazy on the flight to the flight attendants and people next to me and stuff, but I was just so excited to be somewhere, that was just, we always say it's like the holy ground of wrestling, holy grail of wrestling.
Exactly.
Like it's such a higher standard to us. And it was great to be there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And, and getting out and just going to Japan, even if it was just for, a couple of days, I would have been the same exact way. Going to Marvelous and stuff like that, working with Chigusa Nagayo was, getting her, lessons and teachings, and just having her around is always great. And then working for Pro Wrestling Noah was amazing. And, I didn't know if I was coming back yet or not, it was in the talks, but it's not. And then, so I just wanted to go out and do everything. And the people that I was there with, they felt the same way. So they were like, let's just go out and let's go see everything. Let's go do everything that we can. And let's just have the fun. Let's have a fun time and do what we can when we're here and enjoy it, because who knows if we're going to be back. So yeah, it was very exciting, and especially working with people that, with Takumi and Mio and, other people that are just, Magenta, like it's great, like I see a whole nother side of it, from men's wrestling to women's wrestling, and they're just amazing, they're just the way that they can get a hold of the crowd. It's just mind boggling. Like that first tour taught me so much.
And doesn't Great Muda run now? Isn't he like the president or something? The Great Muda.
Yeah, he's definitely a higher name in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool. Like working for a company that Great Muda and Icon is part of, and you actually got to work and learn from Masato Tanaka too, right?
Yeah, it was great. We got to, growing up, always watched them, and stuff like that, because my dad was like a huge
ECW.
Yeah, and like ECW and stuff like that. And then on the first tour, we got to go work for 01 with him and stuff like that. And then it was just a triple threat with me, Vinny, and Zoe, and then he was in the main event. So, but Vinny, I think Vinny worked him already at that point. So, he was just, really friendly, really, helping us out, stuff like that. And then at the beginning of this year, we got to do a tag together. It was me, him, and Chigusa Nagayo versus Leo, Takumi, and Kota Ibushi. And that was also really great because he was also
Kota Ibushi. Nice.
Yeah. It was great. and just learning from them too in the ring, and also having Chigusa there was amazing. And then when we finally worked, it was great, especially for Marvelous Impact. It was great. Get to show the men's division of Marvelous and stuff like that, bringing other people in that Marvelous doesn't really get to see because, Marvelous, there are some fans that don't really ever watch stuff other than Marvelous. So it was great to see or get to, showcase other things out there and other fans and, show these whatever. And it was great. Working with him is always great, and we got to text each other, on Instagram or Twitter and stuff like that and say thank you. And then, just keep up with each other here and there,
Wow. Did you see like they recreated Hayabusa? Like
Yes,
there's another guy
that's
that's
insane.
him.
Yeah, I really wish I would have got to the show, or I think he debuted before I came back, and I was like, oh man, that would have been awesome to see, because having someone like that come back, and it's always great to see the fans experience that, and like the experiences leading up to it. It's always great.
Yeah, I mean, Hayabusa was always like one of my
Oh, yeah.
all-time favorites, and I saw like the match with Hayabusa and Masato Tanaka, and I was like in awe on how much he looked like Hayabusa and does
Yeah,
like the move set like Hayabusa.
yeah,
Like I thought I was watching him, like
yeah,
watching like the real Hayabusa. It was
yeah.
crazy.
It makes you question, like, oh, is that him or what's going on here?
Did you wind up eating at that world famous steakhouse over in Japan? What's it?
Rivera.
Rivera, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I got to eat there a couple of times. The first time I got there, I went on my first tour. Me and Vinny went with Magenta. We just ate because we were out shopping. They were showing us around and stuff like that because it was our first tour. And so they took us around and then we ate there and then we left and stuff like that. It was great. And then after one of the title shots that I got for Noah, we went again with Chigusa. We got the jackets and stuff like that. That was
Nice.
cool. And we went back, and me and one of the guys that is there now, Jaya. We went with one of our other friends that lives in Japan, and then we also went there with him, and it was great. It was always a cool experience, seeing all the pictures and stuff like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I ever do make it there, like I have to go there and eat in that
Of course,
steakhouse.
of course, of course.
And how did you get together with Star Boy and create your team that you have, the Crush Boys? Like how did you come up with the name and actually like talk to him into creating a tag team?
So Charlie's been wrestling for a while in this area, in California and stuff like that. So he grew up. He's one of the ones that actually did it from like 9 years old and stuff like that. So when I got back into it, he was a little bit younger than me still. But we had a big feud at West Coast Pro, and then I left, and then I came back, and then I was just doing my own thing, and then. We kind of squashed the beef and we became a team. We went to Japan together, and when they really put us, Chigusa Nagayo put us together, Noah put us together. So it was like, hey, why don't we just continue this back home and team? And West Coast Pro's promoter was like, okay, yeah, let's just do it. That sounds great. And he's like, I love to keep you guys together. And it was kind of his idea to keep us together. And we started going, and we were getting tired of just having Titus and Charlie teaming, and that was like our team name at first. And I was like, whatever. And Chigusa Nagayo comes from Crush Gals, so having a really close relationship with her and having team there in Japan with her and stuff like that. And so she was like, well, Scott, the promoter of West Coast Pro, was like, hey, give me a couple of seconds. Let me talk to her. Let me see her idea, because we have a really close relationship with Chigusa, and it's great. I love it. I love her. She's like my mom, and so I respect it. And so I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And I was really nervous to even have him ask, because that's like a huge deal. And I was like, okay. And Okay. And I was talking to Charlie on the side about it. I was like, Charlie, what do you think? Like, that's a big name to live up to and stuff like that. And then we got a text in our group chat, like maybe 5 minutes later, and it was just a screenshot of the text saying, she basically saying she's on board with calling us the Crush Boys.
Oh,
And yeah, when we won the belts against Suavecitos down here, she came out and was, talking and stuff like that, and then gave us the name in person, and it was
oh
a
my
really cool experience,
God.
man. Yeah, it was great, and it was really emotional because, like I said, she's like my mom, and having her come down and be there live and help us and stuff like that, it's great. It was real touching. It would always be my heart, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. And you're definitely in amazing shape. And what do
Thank
you
you.
do to stay in shape? Like, what's your workout routine and diet like?
Workout routine is I always push myself and try to get better and stronger. I go twice. I go 2 days. Sometimes I'll go like walk for an hour in the morning, just either outside or on the treadmill if it's raining or something like that, and just like watch either a show that I'm watching that I need to catch up on, or watch a lot of wrestling matches and stuff like that. And then I'll go later in the day to like lift and do all my other stuff like cardio and stuff.
Okay.
But diet, oh man, that's the hard part for me. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be honest. I have a big sweet tooth. I love cookies and ice cream, and I love burgers, pizza, and mac and cheese. Oh, it's so great. But so I'm starting to dial off on that, where I'm like eating a lot of the chicken and broccoli, chicken, rice, and ground turkey and rice, and steak and eggs, and really think that'll benefit my body. I know I won't be 24 forever, so I need to start doing this stuff now to, I always enjoy life though. I'll have a couple cheat meals here and
Of
a couple of cookies
course.
here and there. You got to enjoy life. I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know, take it where it's the extreme where I can't have it for a year and stuff like that. I'm not like that. Even if, I'm 30 and 35, 40, I'll always be able to enjoy food and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely am starting to, monitor it a little bit more. I'm not going to
Mhm.
sit there and count, macros. If this is a little strand of rice I can't have, and no, I just want to eat clean and not so processed food and stuff like that, and try to take it a little bit less on the junk food. But it's always hard.
It is hard because the junk food tastes so
Oh,
fucking good. So
so
it's
good.
and when you aren't wrestling, what do you like doing during your free time?
Either working out, hanging out with friends. I do have I do work for 2K for motion capture. I do the
Oh,
WWE video game stuff, and I was just
oh
there
wow.
2 weeks last week and the week before. Right when I got back, I had like a couple days off. I wrestled one of those days and did a travel day, and then came back and then went straight to the shoot and did that for 2 weeks, and then had the show last night, and then now we're here. It's or 2 nights ago, whatever it was. Um, but yeah, I do that on the side, and if I'm not, I like to hang out with family and friends and stuff like that. And yeah, it's strictly just wrestling for the most, working out, trying to stay healthy. But yeah, you got to enjoy life sometimes too. So
Oh, of
I do
course.
plan weekends where I'll go do Disneyland, or
Oh, nice.
I'm a huge Disneyland person. I love Disneyland. I love whenever I go to Japan. It's not like it's a thing where it's okay. What weekend are we doing Disneyland? Because I'll go every single tour. I'll make it a point. I will go for sure. And but yeah, that's about it.
Okay. And I'm a big horror guy, so I always ask my guests this: are there any horror films that you like to watch?
Oh man, I am not. That is not my genre of
Okay.
movies. But I have seen a few. One that will always scare me is Sinister. I don't know
That's
why.
that's a
It's
creepy
very
movie.
scary.
Creepy movie.
Yeah, and I just watched one recently, but it was like it's not really a horror. It's more like suspenseful, I would say, or like thriller is what they call it. It was called Woman of the Hour or something like that, and it was about
Hmm.
some murder or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, the horror is not my genre of movies, I would say.
Oh, okay. Hey,
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
yeah, yeah.
And if you were gonna do a karaoke song, what do you think you would sing?
I get this question, especially out there. They're always like, "Oh, you do karaoke?" Like, no, 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 no. If I had to choose one, man, I'd probably I'd have to have a couple cocktails, but I'd probably have to say maybe like "Love" by Keisha Cole or something like that, or I don't know, something by Frank Ocean as well, because I'm
Okay.
Ocean or David or something like that. Yeah.
And is there anything coming up for you that you would like to plug at? Like any matches, anything else you're working on?
Oh man. Oh, let's see. Oh man, I haven't even had time to like debrief myself from Japan and come back straight to 2 weeks. But you know, I always say this: if it's not about me, it's just support indie wrestling. You know, support us. You know, buy a 8x10, buy whoever's you like, or take a picture with us, post it. That's really all I like to plug. My socials. I'm really bad at socials as well. Um, I rarely post on social media, and I need to do it more to just connect with fans. But yeah, follow me and stuff like that. I really that's about it.
Well, it was very nice meeting you. Thank
Oh
you
yeah, you
so
as
much
well.
for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Definitely, bud. Well, have an amazing day or
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.